Hi, I'm Eric Siegel with ericstrains.com. Today I'm going to be reviewing Lionel's latest 3-rail O-scale rendition of the beautiful Southern Crescent Limited 462 Pacific. This latest rendition of the Crescent Limited appeared in Lionel's 2012 Volume 1 catalog, and in keeping with tradition, Lionel actually did 3 road names. They did the Crescent Limited, the Alton Limited, and the Blue Comet. Just like I said with the EM1 that I reviewed a couple weeks ago, Lionel has really caught up on their production schedule, and these engines were actually in stores before the catalogs even arrived. Okay, let's go ahead and start things off with some basic stats and information on this engine. The length of the engine is right at 23 inches. It's about 24 inches if you count the couplers. The engine itself weighs in at 6 pounds 6 ounces. The tender has a weight of 3 pounds 6 ounces. So altogether you've got a combined weight of 9 pounds 12 ounces. This engine has pretty decent pulling power at 2 pounds 5 ounces, and the minimum curve needed to run this engine is 0.36. Under the hood, this engine is equipped with Lionel's legacy control system as well as legacy rail sounds. Now, to get the most out of the engine, you do want to run it with Lionel's legacy command system, but you can also run the engine with Lionel's classic TMCC command system, or you can run the engine conventionally. This engine is packed with great details and features, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights. Here's a look at the pilot. It's very nicely done. The highlight for me is the coupler cut bar. You can pull up on it like this, and it yanks up on this chain and pin that goes into the coupler. Now, when you take the engine out of the box, it'll come with this dummy scale coupler, but if you want to double head the engine, you can swap it out for this dummy O-gauge coupler that Lionel also packages with the engine. The front of the engine also looks great. The highlights include a headlight here with lighted number boards on either side, operating marker lights up here. You've got an ornate bell here with a pull cord up here that goes all the way back to the cab. You'll be able to see that pull cord better when I show you the top of the engine. And then finally, the front of the boiler opens up like that. Here's a look at all the drive gear. You can see it's very well done, and this all looks great when the engine is moving. We've got nice white walls on the drive wheels, and of course we've got that great crescent moon graphic on the cylinders. Both sides of the engine are wonderfully detailed with all sorts of nice piping and so forth, and then you've also got legible builder's plates right here. On top of the engine, the back of the superheater is very nicely detailed. Here's that pull cord from the bell, and again, this goes all the way back to the cab. Here's the smokestack, and on the sand dome here, if you pop the top off, it reveals the control switches for the engine. You've got the run program switch, Odyssey speed control on-off, and then you've got the 2 on-off switches for the 2 smoke units. Right here we've got the whistle, and as I said earlier, this engine comes with Lionel's whistle steam smoke effect. So you've got the whistle here, and then underneath is a hole. And when you blow the whistle on this engine, smoke shoots out of that hole, and it gives the illusion that steam is shooting out of the whistle. Now, the nice thing about this whistle is that they've actually got the pull cord on it that goes right back to the cab, which is nice. So not only do you have a pull cord going to the bell, but you've got one on the whistle as well. To put smoke fluid in the smoke unit that powers the whistle, what you do is you pop the top off of this dome right here, like that, and then you pour the smoke fluid down this hole right here. Toward the back of the cab, we've got some additional nice detailing here, and then there's a vent on top of the cab roof that opens up like that. The area around the firebox and the ash pan, as well as this area under the cab, are both very nicely detailed. On the firebox, you've got the variable ash pan glow effect, which means that when the engine is in operation, you'll get a red glow down here, and then as the engine gets faster, that red glow gets more intense. Up on the cab, we've got great graphics here, and then there are clear plastic inserts in the windows. Here's a look at the back of the engine and the inside of the cab. On either side of the cab, there are separately applied grab irons. Inside the cab, you've got 2 hand-painted crew figures, and there are a number of hand-painted valves and gauges. When the engine is on, some of those gauges light up, and there's a red glow in the firebox. When we turn the engine over, we find 2 traction tires on this back set of drivers, and we've got 3 pickup rollers. Okay, that's it for the engine. Now let's take a quick look at the tender. The tender is very nicely done. I think it looks really sharp with this great paint scheme and wonderful graphics. You've got good rivet detail all over the place, and it also has a good weight to it because the body and the trucks are all die-cast metal. The front of the tender has some nice cast-in detail, and you've also got some separately applied grab irons on either side, and some nice cast-in step detail down here. On top of the tender, we've got a real coal load right here, some nice detailing here, and then this hatch opens up to reveal the volume control for the engine. The back of the tender is also very nicely done. We've got some separately applied grab irons and ladders and so forth, a nice coupler cut bar down here, as well as some nice step detail on each side. The coupler is very well done on this tender because it's actually recessed in a little bit, and that means that when you couple a car up to this tender, it'll pull that car a little closer to the tender, and you'll get more of a prototypical look than you typically get with these big O-gauge couplers. My only criticism of the back of the tender is that in the catalog, Lionel stated that there would be a backup light on the tender, but as you can see on this tender, there isn't one. On the underside of the tender, we find some nice add-on details here. There are 2 speakers for excellent sound, and we've got 2 pickup rollers. The last thing we're going to do before we start this engine up is BF IMO, best feature in my opinion. I think the best feature on this engine is the whistle sound. It just sounds great. They did a fantastic job with it. You'll hear the whistle in just a minute when we start this up. Give it a listen, and I think you'll agree. It's one of the better whistle sounds out there. Okay, let's go ahead and start this engine up and have some fun with it.
Dispatcher here. Do you copy? Over.
I read you. Over.
Please start her up and stand by for track orders.
Roger that. Ready to move. Out.
Okay, here's that great whistle I was telling you about. This is one of my favorite whistles on any of my engines. Here's the whistle steam smoke effect. Here's the bell. Now let's hear some of the crew talk sounds. Now, the crew talk sounds on this engine are a little odd. You know, Lionel has been using the same crew talk module on a lot of their recent steam engines, and that in itself is not really a problem, but what's interesting about this engine is that this is a southern engine, but the engineer has a New York accent, which I think is kind of funny. So let's give it a listen.
Dispatcher here. You're cleared onto the main. Over.
Yes, sir. I'm green. Out. Dispatcher, my water's full. Am I clear? Over.
Yes, you're good to go. Over.
Yes, sir. I'm green. Out.
So there you have it, a New York accent on a southern engine. Kind of funny. I guess he's a transplant to the south. I'll just think of it that way. Here's the cylinder steam sound. And here's the water tank filling sound. Okay, let's roll it out. I'm going to activate sequence control by holding down the aux 1 key. Okay, sequence control is activated. That means these sounds will be automated as I run the engine. So let's go ahead and roll it out. Now, I realize that the Crescent Limited was a passenger train. I don't yet have the matching passenger cars. Lionel hasn't shipped those yet, so in the meantime, I'm running it with freight, so take it easy. It'll be okay.
How's the track look? Am I clear? Over. Yes, all clear ahead. Over. Copy that. Out. We're all done. Out.
Okay, that about wraps it up for this review. This is a great engine that I'm happy to have in my collection. Legacy rail sounds and the new whistle steam smoke effect are great additions to this classic model. As I said, this engine comes in 3 different road names. You've got the Crescent Limited like you see here, you've got Chicago and Alton, and you've got the Blue Comet. The retail price on these engines is right at $1,100, although if you go through a good Lionel dealer, you should be able to get a pretty good discount off that retail price. And of course, if you're looking for a good dealer, try my favorite train store, which is Legacy Station. You can call them at 770-339-7780 or find them on the web at www.legacystation.com. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm Eric Siegel, and I'll see you next time.